I stood outside the cafe, the engagement ring box in my hand, heart pounding louder than the traffic around me. A week ago, I was preparing to propose to Lauren, my girlfriend of 4 years, my best friend, my supposed forever. But then I saw the messages. They weren't vague. They weren't innocent. They were detailed, raw, and time-stamped at hours. She told me she was just tired or out with coworkers. The worst part? The guy wasn't a stranger. It was Aiden, my coworker, the same guy who gave me advice on the ring. Today, she told me she was meeting her aunt for brunch. I already knew where she was going, thanks to a friend who owed me a favor at the cafe. And here I was, walking in to return the ring not out of love, but out of principle. As I entered, I scanned the tables. There she was, hair curled, dressed low, laughing at his joke. She didn't see me. Yet, I walked over calmly, despite the storm in my chest. "Hey, Lauren." Her smile died instantly. Her eyes darted between me and Aiden, who now looked like he'd swallowed a rock. "I believe this belongs to you," I said, opening the small box and placing the sparkling engagement ring on their table. Gasps rippled across nearby tables. I was going to propose next weekend. "But clearly you've already moved on." She opened her mouth, maybe to lie, maybe to explain, but I didn't care. I turned to leave. But just before I did, I heard a voice from behind. "Wait!" It wasn't her. It was Aiden. I turned, eyebrows raised. He stood, suddenly pale. It wasn't just her. "I have to tell you something, man." Lauren's face contorted in panic. "Aiden, don't." But he did. She told me she was single, that you broke up months ago. She even showed me screenshots of fake messages you'd sent confirming it. She manipulated both of us. Silence fell like a curtain. Lauren's mouth opened, closed. She was cornered, and her lies unraveled all at once. I walked back to the table and picked up the ring. "Actually," I said, "I think I'll hold on to this. It's a good reminder of what love shouldn't look like." As I left, people stared, not at me, but at her. She burst into tears, but no one moved to console her. The cafe's manager, who overheard everything, came up to me outside. He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "You handled that like a legend." I smiled for the first time that day. And that ring? A week later, I sold it and booked myself a one-way ticket to Italy. A fresh start. Funny thing is, sometimes losing the wrong person is how you finally make room for the right one. And everyone who was there that day, they still talk about it. Because sometimes the most shocking thing isn't the betrayal. It's the way you rise from it. Italy was never in the plans. But betrayal has a way of making you rip up old maps and draw new ones. I landed in Florence on a rainy Tuesday. The kind of rain that doesn't soak you so much as wash something off of you. Grief, doubt, maybe even her. I wandered the cobblestone streets for hours, eating gelato in the cold, feeling more alive than I had in months. The ring money lasted longer than expected. I found a short-term rental above a quiet cafe owned by an old couple who barely spoke English but treated me like a lost grandson. I helped around the cafe, learned to steam the perfect cappuccino, and slowly pieced myself back together. Laura messaged me once, a long-winded apology. I didn't reply. Aiden messaged me too, more honest than her. Said he quit the job and started therapy. Told me he never loved her, that she was just a distraction from his own misery. I wished him luck and moved on. But Italy gave me something unexpected. Her name was Sophia. She was a local artist who'd come into the cafe every morning at 7:15 sharp and order an espresso, black, no sugar. She barely looked at anyone, wore paint-stained overalls, always had her hair in a messy bun, and never smiled. Until the day I accidentally spilled coffee on her sketchbook. I braced for a storm. Instead, she laughed. Actually laughed. A full, head thrown back, sun-through clouds kind of laugh. "I hated that sketch anyway," she said, smirking. "We talked. Then we walked. Then we talked some more." She told me about her art, her ex, her dreams of opening a gallery. I told her about Lauren, the ring, the betrayal that brought me here. She didn't flinch, just nodded like she'd been through her own kind of hell. We weren't perfect, We were healing, and in healing, we found each other. One morning, nearly a year later, I took her to the Ponte Vecchio. The sky was pink with sunrise, the Arno River glowing below. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. Not the old one, a new one. She stared, wide-eyed, as I opened it. Inside was a simple, elegant ring with a sapphire in the center. Different, unconventional. Like us. I'm not asking you to complete me, I said, voice steady. I'm asking you to keep growing with me. Tears welled in her eyes. Yes, she whispered. 1,000 times, yes. Back home, word got out. People who witnessed the cafe scene still told the story like urban legend. He returned the ring while she was with her lover. But what really left everyone speechless was what happened after. That I didn't stay bitter. That I didn't break. That I went and built a better life. And found a better love. A world away from the wreckage. Sometimes the biggest revenge isn't anger. It's healing. So, well, they don't even recognize you anymore. And somewhere in a drawer in Florence, that old ring sits. A reminder that walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the start of something extraordinary. A year later, we stood in a sunlit gallery in Florence. Sophia's gallery. Her paintings lined the walls, abstract and vibrant, filled with color and chaos that somehow made perfect sense. One corner displayed a piece called Closure. It was a ring, half melted into the canvas, surrounded by a burning city and a blooming olive tree in the center. People asked her what it meant. She always smiled and said, "It's about letting go to grow." I never told them it was my ring. The same one I'd once placed on a cafe table in front of a cheating woman and a spineless friend. That moment, the heartbreak, the humiliation, felt like the end of the world back then. But now, it was the beginning of everything. As the crowd wanted the gallery, Sophia slid her hand into mine and whispered, "Can you believe this all started with a ruined sketchbook and a broken heart?" I looked at her, the love in her eyes as steady as the Florence sunset behind her. "Yeah," I said, "and returning that ring was the best decision I ever made." We kissed under the fading golden light, the world quiet and whole around us. And that was how the story ended. Not in pain, but in peace. We were married in a small vineyard just outside Florence. No grand spectacle. Just a few close friends, locals who had become family, and rows of sun-kissed vines whispering in the breeze. Sophia wore a simple white dress speckled with dried paint at the hem. I wore a navy suit and held her paint-stained hands as we said our vows in a mix of English and Italian. No rehearsed speeches. No scripted perfection. Just truth. "I promise to never ask you to be anything but yourself," she said, her voice steady. "And I promise to never hold you back, even when I want to keep you forever." I replied. We exchanged rings, new ones, not tainted by the past, not symbols of broken promises, but of rebuilt futures. Months passed. The gallery grew. Sophia began holding workshops, mentoring young artists. I started a small cafe next door, Cafe Nuovo Inizio, new beginning. Tourists came for the espresso, stayed for the love story behind it. Some days, I'd spot couples standing near her closure piece, pointing and whispering. The painting had gained quiet fame. People from around the world came to see it, unaware that the man who once wore that ring now served them cappuccinos with a quiet smile and a healed heart. One evening, just before closing, I got a message on social media from a name I hadn't seen in years. "Lauren, I saw your wedding photo. I'm happy for you. You look different, lighter. I hope one day I get there too." I didn't reply, not out of spite, but because there was nothing left to say. She was just a chapter, not a sentence, not the ending. Years later, Sophia and I sat on the balcony of our home, overlooking rolling Tuscan hills, wine glasses in hand. "I still can't believe you spilled coffee on me," she laughed. "I still can't believe you didn't stab me with your pencil." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "You think everything happened for a reason?" she asked softly. I thought for a long moment, then smiled. "No, but I think when the wrong thing falls apart, it gives the right thing room to grow." And as the sun dipped below the hills, painting the sky with hues no brush could capture. I knew one true for certain. The ring was returned, but in losing her, I found everything. The real ending, the right beginning. And this time, no one was left speechless but me, because life somehow had given me a love that words could.